Hey everyone, welcome to Be Strong, Be You, and I am coming to you, and today I'm supposed to be talking about the pneumonia story, and I may still do that, but I am trying to break up the story, I don't want it to continue to be something continuously sad and dramatic, but I'm also finding in my daily life, with things that are currently going on in my life, I want to come home and talk. And everything about life is being strong and being you. But my story is what I want to talk about how it has helped me be strong and be me now and become the person I'm being. And then in this process, I need to continue to be strong and be me. With this alopecia thing. So I am going to break up my story in talking about small stories, which I'm going to label #alopecia problems. And they're going to be stories that are funny and that people with alopecia can relate to. And while they weren't funny when I was going through them, when I look back on them, they're funny now. So for example, I'm just gonna throw myself out there like that. So my videos that I had before, I had straight hair that I purchased, and now I have curly hair. So I'm gonna talk about this morning when I had straight hair, and I've spent quite a bit of money buying hair. And of course, this day and age, it's not a problem to buy hair anymore, but back in the day, you know, it was different. You know, it was natural, and now we're kind of going back to that point, which is why I wish it had continued that back in the 90s when I first had alopecia or was diagnosed. So this morning, normally when I buy my hair, when I buy wigs, I buy 2 at a time, and this particular morning, I'll get to another post where I talk about why I always have to have long hair. Well, people who buy hair on a regular basis know when you brush hair, you're supposed to brush it from holding it and brush it from the bottom until you get the knot out, and then you go to the bottom and smooth. Brush from the top and then go down smooth. Well, you know, I've been doing this for over 20 years, and I'm getting ready to go to work. I've totally gotten to the point where I'm enjoying that I don't have to get up and slave over the iron and hot combs and grease and all that. So this morning I'm waiting till 10 minutes before it's time for me to get in my car. Again, I always buy 2 wigs at a time, and I am sitting there and I'm just all straight hair. I'm just running the brush through my hair. And all of a sudden I'm holding it and I'm running the brush, and I hear an entire rip through my hair. Now, sidebar, I have some high anxiety. So all of a sudden when I hear the rip, I just imagine like kind of how that look in that moment when you rip your pants or you rip a piece of clothing and you're in public and you're like, what am I supposed to do right now? So in my mind, I'm like, I just ripped my hair. So in my mind, I'm like, I'm gonna call into work. I can't go out like this. Should I try to sew it back together real quick? And sorry, I got a piece of hair in my eye right now. And I look down and my hair is in 2 pieces because it was a lace front. And I should have been very gentle, but instead I'm just ripping through it, and I literally ripped my hair in half. And and I panicked, I cried, and then eventually I thought, I actually bought 2 last time when I bought one, so this was the end product. I went in there real quick, grabbed it out of the box, cut the lace off of it, and put it on my head. So now I have this curly hair, and I've lesson learned. You know, you can never just get too comfortable with your hair. So that was just a nice story to tell you, because in that moment, it was not funny. It was, I got to get to work. And now it is. So when I got to work, I told my coworker, because I do tell my coworkers once I get to know them and they ask me about my hair, and I'll be like, I bought this, blah, blah. But in the beginning, I may not say anything. But that morning when I got there, I said, can you believe I ripped my hair this morning, and what was I supposed to do? And, we just laughed about it. But yeah, I panicked. So I'm going to do moments in between my story, such as those, hashtag alopecia problems. So going to the pneumonia story. So let me check my time. Okay, so this is before I was actually diagnosed with alopecia, and I was in kindergarten. So I was 5, and what I remember is I was in kindergarten and I woke up in the middle of the night, had this huge abscess on my neck, and I couldn't move, like my head side to side. I couldn't swallow. I couldn't eat anything. And I remember crying a lot. I got up, I went to knock on my parents' door, and they gave me some ice cream and called the emergency room. And it was around Thanksgiving. And we got up, we went to my grandparents' house the next morning, and they tried to give me scrambled eggs. As weird as that sounds, I remember that. It's amazing what you remember when you are a child. And I couldn't eat the scrambled eggs. They took me to the hospital, and they kept me in the hospital. All I remember about being admitted to the hospital is that the IV, they had to put this IV in my arm, and the IV was green, and they had to hold, 6 people had to hold me down. I'll never forget that. And the pain I felt when that IV was going in my arm. I screamed and screamed and screamed. The end result was my IV's name was Edward. And I ate nothing but, drank nothing but chicken broth for an entire week. And I watched this documentary about bees, and I watched the Mickey Mouse Club, the MICKEYMOUSE, every day. My parents came to see me, and I used to pick up my phone, and this is really weird, but I picked up my phone and would always hit to talk to the nurses station, and this guy would come on the phone. And to this day, I thought that was weird. Of who was I talking to? Who was I talking to the whole time? So come to find out, I had pneumonia. I had what's called cellulitis, had a temperature, and stayed in the hospital for at least a week, was out of school for almost a month. They thought that maybe it was contagious, so when I talked on the phone at home, I had to talk with something covering the phone. I remember everyone from my school writing me letters, and I remember them calling me and talking to me on the phone. And that was pretty much the gist of me having pneumonia. What I do remember is while I was in the hospital, and this is very important because it'll come up later in my story as I get older, is the nurse checked me out, and she saw these scars on me and bruises on me. And she said, "What are these from?" And I said, "These are from when I get in trouble." And she said, "From what?" And I said, I get a whooping. And I told her, and back in the day, disciplining your children was, I would say, more acceptable. Not as, I can't think of a word for it, but not what it is today. But I felt I probably got a whooping every day for 2 years. And if my brother watches these videos, he probably would say the same thing. If he got in trouble, I got a whooping, and if I got in trouble, he got a whooping, and half time we didn't know why we were getting whoopings, but we were getting them. But they asked me, and I told them, and on my medical paperwork, it actually was part of the one of the possible diagnoses, along with alopecia and cellulitis. Cellulitis, before I got alopecia, was child abuse. But in there it says that they talked to my parents and they agreed, and I agreed, that I had done things that caused me to have those scars. Like, seriously, people. But so I wanted to share that with you, because that I will refer back to that later on in my story. And so when I talk about when I got my medical documentation for the first time in my life and actually read that, how significant that was to me, that I actually spoke about that earlier in my life. And it kind of was a moment where I felt I said something and no one listened. So that is the pneumonia story before that triggered my alopecia. So share, because again, people are out here with alopecia and they may not ever meet anyone. Like I said, I've only met 2 people in my life with it as an actual medical diagnosis, and that's it, not as a result of something else. And this story is meant to be empowering to other people. I heard someone say that your story, you're going through it for the sake of someone else to get through their story. And that's exactly what I want to do. So please share. I know these aren't like professional videos. They're not meant to be. I'm not a professional. I love to talk. I love to speak, but I want to be effective. So share, like my video, and comment. I love the comments I received from my last video. They were very touching to me. They continue to be inspiring to me. I may be inspiring you, but you continue to inspire me. And through this journey, I will get to the goal that I want to be at, where I am able to walk out my front door and be me, with or without my hair, with no problem. So I hope everyone has a wonderful rest of the week, and I love you all. Be strong, be you.